I was really honoured to be asked to address you all today, and while I was considering what I'd actually talk about, I decided I'd talk about two powerful things that we can all use to have an impact on the lives of animals, which are our words and our actions coupled together. Speciesism and speciesists are hard enough words to pronounce, let alone to fully understand the meaning, and I feel that some of you here today may have not fully grasped what it was before this event was created to bring awareness of how we are speciesist today. So I think it's great, because I've also learned from it as well, having this event and thinking about speciesism as well and investigating it further so that we can all have a good knowledge of what it actually means. It's just like racism and sexism, as Sally said, a form of oppression, and it's something that we must fight to end. Now, if we're going to be asking people to stop being speciesist, we need to first examine the way we ourselves talk about and refer to animals before we can expect anyone else to do that. Because we can't be asking people to make changes that we ourselves have not yet made. Language is a really powerful and a tool in effecting change, such as using a word like seafood. We should be using words like sea life, marine life, because once we actually include that word food when we're talking about animals, it's giving the person we're talking to, we're confirming that yes, they are viewed as food. Or if you say something like, you eat chicken, chicken just gives people this image of this massive, unidentifiable mass. If you say to someone, why do you eat chickens? It gives them an individuality and makes them think they are eating individuals, and they don't just see chickens as one big mass. Small actions like that, I think, can really help to help people understand what speciesism is and to see animals for who they are, the individuals that they are. And we won't be taken seriously in our quest to stop speciesism if we ourselves aren't using the right language. So if people are still encouraged to view animals as property by the very people who are fighting against that, who's us, we won't win this battle. So the property status of animals will never change, also while we continue to refer to them as it. When they cease to be classed as property, their status is then equal to ours, and this in turn will stop them being treated differently to us. So our language has a massive effect on that, and the issue is a lot of us do use the word it when referring to animals. It describes something you own, an inanimate object such as your house, your car, or your phone, etc. These inanimate objects are not sentient beings. They don't feel, they don't have emotions, and they don't have rights, and they shouldn't. So therefore animals cannot be it, because they feel, they have emotions, and they deserve rights. And the rights that have been taken away from them, that's their birthright. We're not giving animals rights, we're not giving them a gift of animal rights. We've taken it from them, and it was their birthright to have rights, and they need to be given them back. So calling animals it can have a profound effect on the way the people you're talking to view animals in general, or the one animal you're talking about. It's so cute, its tail was wagging, it was suffering. So even if you don't know their gender, just change that little part of your language to call them they. I mean, they won't mind being called he or she if they're not a girl or a boy, but just even say they, because we really need to use our words wisely to make our voice count for them and not keep condemning them. So our unwillingness to see personhood in animals doesn't diminish their personhood, it actually diminishes our humanity. And referring to them as it, as property, will never afford them the rights that they deserve, which is to be treated as persons, to be treated as someone, not something. So coupled with our words, our actions will help to end speciesism because activism works. It's amazing to see all the new generations of activists coming up through the ranks and so much happening in Melbourne at the moment. We're a great city for activism and veganism, and how big the activist community is getting here. I mean, when I first started activism a long time ago, you know, we had very small groups of people, and our rallies were probably, we'd be really happy if we got 50 people to a demo or a rally. And as that grew, of course, then more people joined in. But to see the numbers of people joining in activism today is just amazing. And we're up against some of the largest companies on earth, so every person counts. And didn't we have some great news this week about the Murray Goulburn Dairy Company making a $371 million loss? Its revenue down 10% to $2.5 billion, and it's carrying $445 million in debt due to the fact cow's milk sales fell by 22%. And that's just not coincidence. It's because of what we are doing. People are waking up, and that is proof. Now, many of you have heard of the Save movement, and in Melbourne we currently have Chicken Save, Pig Save, Cow Save, Sheep Save, Fish Save and Goat Save, which is great. And it started in 2010 by Anita Krantz in Toronto, when she used to walk her dog and see the pig trucks go. I think most of you probably know that story. And it grew. There are now nearly 200 chapters of the Save movement in over 20 countries in the world. The latest one was South Africa, who had their first vigil this week. Apart from bearing witness at slaughterhouses, the Save movement has a lot of other events, such as worldwide coordinated vigils and events, and do outreach and festivals, followed the walk tour around America just recently and set up new Save groups and slaughterhouse vigils. And the Save movement's goal is to raise awareness about the plight of farmed animals, to build a mass-based grassroots animal justice movement, and to help people become vegan. Because it's not enough just to be vegan. We do need to be vegan activists. We just need to be active as well as being vegan. And I like this quote from Gandhi that says, social change will occur not in some dim and distant future, but within a measurable time, the measure being the measure of the effort we put forth. And it's true. The more we do, the more change we can affect. Now, many people have questioned the actual act of bearing witness at slaughterhouse vigils. And bearing witness can be summed up in a quote from Leo Tolstoy: when the suffering of another creature causes you to feel pain, do not submit to the initial desire to flee from the suffering one, but on the contrary, come closer and as close as you can to him who suffers and try to help. I initially also questioned that relevance when I was at my first vigil, which was an Animal Liberation Victoria vigil at a pig slaughterhouse. And I was standing in the cold and the rain at about 6 a.m. with a fellow activist. And we were chatting about how we thought, we didn't know whether this was going to be the way to go for animals to be standing out there with no one seeing us. Wouldn't it be our time be better used doing outreach in Burke Street Mall, handing people out leaflets, and instead of standing there with no one seeing us and waiting with our candles and our posters. Then the pig truck arrived. And I looked a pig right in the eye, and I knew why we were there. And since then, I've looked hundreds of animals in the eye. And when you see them, and they look right back at you, you know that vigils are really the answer. And to go there and witness them and give them probably the only comfort they have in their lives is really strong and powerful for us and for them. They look out and they see us out there. We're out there caring, and all they've known is abuse and pain and misery, and yet we can give them that small bit of comfort before they're then driven into their terrifying death. Now, there's a friend of mine over in America who runs North Carolina Animal Save. Her name is Roxanne Kirkright, and I really like what she says about bearing witness. It's gives you a first-hand experience, it's simple and accessible, and it's a community action. And it involves as many people as possible, and to have vigils regularly is the key. It's a tradition of facing truth, and it's often difficult or hideous truth in the face of a culture that prefers not to take notice. It's brutal, but it's essential, difficult but inspiring, hazardous to your health and necessary for your soul. Bearing witness to the atrocities of animal agriculture is a vital component of animal activism. When you witness something, you become a part of it. You become a legal witness, able to testify in a court of law if you had to. You become a moral witness, able to testify to friends and family and strangers things that you have now seen for yourself. You become a witness with a mandate, someone who's then energised to work as hard and as smart as you can to effect positive change for the ones you've seen suffering. It's a life-changing experience, and one you can use to great effect, and one you can join in at any time, and one you can share. In witnessing atrocities, we become representatives of those truths, keepers of the truth. We become obligated in a deep way to take this truth out into the world and share it. And in doing this, we are able to take a hidden thing and bring it to light. Those responsible for these purposefully hidden things will be exposed, will be forced to address this change. This is how powerful the act of bearing witness is. By witnessing a thing, you can then expose it. And it's transformational, and it's hard, it's heavy, and it is a terrible burden, but it is transformational. It will help end animal agriculture. People who participate in vigils do come away changed. A lot of you here have been to vigils, and I'm sure you'll attest to that once you've been to a vigil, you are changed. Your resolve is more to keep working to end these atrocities because you've seen them firsthand. You've been there. You've looked the animals in the eye. And bearing witness will turn a caring person into an activist, and an activist into a super activist. So I totally agree with how she describes it, exactly how it is, and how vigils are, and bearing witness at a vigil is. For too long now, people have been spared the sight of the truth, and we have tools and the power now to show them these truths over and over again. Because we're witnessing it firsthand, we can speak from experience, not just something we've been told or a video we've seen online or a picture we've seen. We can actually say, I saw this, I was there, I saw this, it really happened, and we need to end it. And we'll have to show people, we'll fight to show people one by one if we have to, the terrible evil that we inflict on sentient beings every day. We all need to be part of the fight and speak up for animals. And when every day we are bombarded with images of our friends on billboards, we're being encouraged to eat their body parts and their body secretions, and as we drive around we see more and more of this and adverts coming up. And yet our billboards, our vegan billboards now, and our vegan signage is also getting in there. We need to bombard them back with the truth, not let them win. And while we're doing it here in Melbourne and Australia, our activist friends all over the world are doing exactly the same in their cities and countries, and we're growing so fast. There's no stopping us. We are just growing all over the world. And looking out over the crowd, it's great to see the people who've come here today, taken up time for the animals to come out and speak up for them. And imagine it just, I could say, this half of you turned up at our next vigil, or our rally, or our next outreach, or 150 people holding TV screens in the city. Just imagine that. If we could have that. Imagine a slaughterhouse looking out and there's 150 people walking up the street saying, this is wrong. So there are so many amazing people doing amazing things for animals more than ever before, but always remember we can do better. We can do better each time. We can turn up more. And whenever you're doing something, another important thing I think is remember that you're not alone. If you're on your own somewhere doing an investigation or looking through your photos, just remember it's important for our mental well-being that we remember we're all in this together and we're not alone. You may be sitting alone, but you're not alone. And I'd just like to read a couple of quotes out there to finish off. They're popular, maybe a bit corny, but I really like them. It only takes one person and one act of kindness to inspire others and create change. And it's true. It's a real snowball effect. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the water to create many ripples. So that also, if you start that ripple effect with friends and family, you can also affect change that way. And this is how change happens. One gesture, one person, one moment at a time. And we all know that's true as well. Thoughts and actions have to start somewhere. And my favourite one is from Dr. Seuss, who says, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And just in summing up, the final quote I read somewhere, I don't even know who wrote it, but I love it. They thought they could bury us, but they forgot that seeds grow. And just remember, we are all seeds, and we are growing, and will continue to grow. Thanks.